Hi there. Real quick before we jump into the episode. If you enjoy this episode, or any of the other episodes, be sure to give us a follow or subscribe. It would also be great if you shared it with a friend, or better yet, left a review so others can know how awesome it is. Thanks so much. And now, the episode.
Hey there, Press Starters, and welcome to the Press Start Leadership Podcast, the podcast about game-changing leadership, teaching you how to get the most out of your product and development team and become the leader you were meant to be. Leadership coaching and training for the international game industry professional. Now, let me introduce you to your host, the man, the myth, the legend, Christopher Mifsud.
Hey there, Press Starters, and welcome back to another awesome edition of the Press Start Leadership Podcast. On this week's episode, we'll be discussing finding your moment of zen in the chaos of the video game industry as a leader, how calm, clarity, and conscious leadership practices can help game industry leaders thrive under pressure. The video game industry doesn't slow down. Not for deadlines, not for market crashes, not even for burnout. Leaders in this space, especially those at indie studios or high-pressure AAA roles, know that the chaos is constant. Waves of shifting priorities, market volatility, personal challenges, funding gaps, and the ticking clock of production sprints. Amid this churn, many leaders face the same underlying question. How do I stay grounded without losing my edge? The answer isn't about doing more. It's about being more present. It's about developing an intentional leadership practice rooted in focus, empathy, and self-awareness. In short, it's about finding your moment of zen, not in some fantasy escape from work, but right inside the fire of development itself. This podcast is a practical guide to doing exactly that. We'll explore what zen means in the context of leadership, why finding a calm matters in high-stress creative industry, specific challenges game industry leaders face, actionable techniques to cultivate clarity, resilience, and thoughtful decision-making. How to lead from a place of intention instead of reaction. The Zen of leadership. What are we really talking about? Zen is often misunderstood as passive calm or spiritual detachment. In a leadership context, it's better understood as mindful presence. It is the ability to respond with clarity instead of reacting out of panic. It is the opposite of scrambling. It is about creating space to see situations fully without distortion from stress or ego. In the game industry, Zen leadership means being the eye in the storm during milestone crunches, thinking long-term when everyone else is chasing quick fixes, holding emotional space for your team without becoming emotionally overwhelmed, making space for decisions instead of reacting impulsively, prioritizing wisely even under pressure. You don't need to meditate for 4 hours a day or quote ancient koans. You just need to develop daily intentional practices that help you show up fully and lead with presence. Why Zen matters in game leadership. The game industry blends art, technology, business, and human drama, often on tight deadlines and thin margins. It's a pressure cooker for even the most experienced leaders. Without an internal compass, you'll get pulled in 1,000 directions, each with its own urgency. Without moments of stillness, game leaders fall into familiar traps. Burnout disguised as passion, micromanagement caused by insecurity, reactive decisions driven by panic or fatigue, team disillusionment when leadership feels erratic, lack of creative vision due to stress-induced tunnel vision. A Zen mindset doesn't solve every problem, but it changes how you approach them. It turns stress into clarity, panic into pause, conflict into understanding. Most importantly, it models for your team what stability actually looks like under pressure. The specific chaos game leaders face. Game leadership is uniquely complex. You're not just managing timelines, you're managing dreams, egos, code bases, marketing strategies, shifting tech platforms, and genre trends. Here are just a few of the chaos vectors you'll likely navigate weekly. Creative disagreement. differing visions between narrative, design, and production, technical bottlenecks, late-stage bugs or unrealized system dependencies, team fatigue, long sprints leading to mental exhaustion or turnover risk, market disruption, platforms or publishers changing priorities, funding pressure, running out of money before hitting milestones, community tensions, online blowback from early builds or features. The question isn't whether you'll face chaos. The question is how will you respond to it? Actionable step number 1, build a daily centering practice. The best leaders have routines that restore clarity. They don't need to be spiritual. They need to be intentional. Here are 3 quick practices you can experiment with. 1. 5-minute morning reset. Before checking email or Slack, take 5 minutes to reflect. What do I need to focus on today? Where do I feel rushed and why? What one leadership act can create clarity for my team? Write the answers down. Let that guide your day, not the first fire that lands in your inbox. Number 2, meeting pause. Before high-stake calls or stressful one-on-ones, take 60 seconds to sit still, feet flat, eyes closed. Take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, what does this person need right now? This resets your nervous system and tunes you in to people over problems. And number 3, end of day review. Before ending your workday, write down one thing you handled well, one thing that felt overwhelming, one action to take or delegate tomorrow. This simple habit closes cognitive loops and keeps emotional buildup in check. Actionable step number 2, designate chaos-free zones. As a leader, not every room can be a war room. You need spaces, digital and physical, where things can happen. Try these ideas. Create a weekly thinking time block. No meetings, no Slack, just space to zoom out and reflect. Use a whiteboard or wall chart to visualize problems spatially. This helps you detach emotionally. Establish quiet Slack channels for design discussions, separate from production chatter. Chaos doesn't just exist in your calendar. It lives in your nervous system. Decluttering your inputs creates more room to lead. Actionable step number 3, respond, don't react. In leadership, how you say something is often more important than what you say. The best leaders speak slowly, clearly, and only when they've thought things through. Use this simple 3-step framework. 1. Pause before replying to high-stress messages. 2. Ask a clarifying question. Example, what outcome do you need from me here? 3. Respond with intent, not emotion. If needed, say, let me think about that and get back to you. Buying yourself time is not weakness, it is wisdom. Actionable step number 4, name the real problem. Zen isn't about avoiding problems, it's about seeing them clearly. Often, the visible issue is just a symptom. Example, a team conflict might actually be a lack of clear roles. Scope creep might reflect fear of stakeholder dissatisfaction. A missed milestone might trace back to unclear success criteria. Ask yourself, if this problem had a hidden root cause, what might it be? This practice gets easier the more you use it. Over time, you'll start solving issues at the root, not the surface. Actionable step number 5, reframe urgency. Not everything is a fire, but in game production, it often feels like everything is. Deadlines loom, platform changes, marketing wants trailers, teams want answers. The problem, constant urgency leads to decision fatigue and team burnout. To reframe urgency, label fires correctly. Is this a level 1, hot now, level 2, next 24 hours, or level 3, this week issue? Push back on false timelines. Ask, what happens if this gets done tomorrow? Say no with grace. Try, we're prioritizing X to maintain quality and morale. Let's revisit Y in the next sprint. You teach your team how to treat you by what you respond to. Model calm, and others will start to follow. Actionable step number 6, hold space without absorbing stress. As a leader, part of your role is emotional labor. Your team needs you to listen, emphasize, and respond thoughtfully. But if you absorb everyone's stress without filtering it, you become overwhelmed, anxious, and ineffective. You need a technique to hold emotional space while staying clear-headed. Here's a simple method. Imagine an invisible container between you and the person talking. Everything they say goes into the container, not directly into you. After the conversation, take a breath and imagine emptying the container. This creates a mental buffer that allows you to stay empathetic without becoming emotionally hijacked. It's not detachment, it's presence with boundaries. Actionable step number 7, create a team culture of calm. Zen is not a solo act. It is a leadership mindset that shapes the atmosphere around you. Once you become more centered, it is time to build systems that help your team do the same. Ways to infuse calm into your team culture. Start meetings with a check-in question like, what's one word to describe your current focus? Normalize breaks, walking meetings, or quiet deep work blocks. Celebrate process wins, not just finished products. Review team communication norms. Are Slack channels creating noise or clarity? Teach your team to say, I need space to think about that, rather than expecting instant replies. Calm is contagious, so is chaos. Be intentional about the energy you're broadcasting. Actionable step number 8, lead with clarity, not control. Zen leadership does not mean letting go of responsibility. It means replacing micromanagement with clarity. Control focuses on forcing outcomes. Clarity focuses on aligning teams with intent. Let's compare. Control. Check everyone's work constantly. Clarity. Define success and check alignment regularly. Control. Panic when goals are missed. Clarity. Ask what systemic issues cause slippage. Control. Assume people need pressure to perform. Clarity. Create an environment where people can think clearly. Clarity empowers your team to make decisions without constant escalation. It gives people the confidence to act, knowing they understand the bigger picture. Your job is not to control every move. Your job is to remove friction so others can move freely. Actionable step number 9, develop your Zen readiness toolkit. You cannot wait until you are burned out to start cultivating Zen. You need practices you can turn to daily, even when things feel manageable. Here's a simple toolkit to get started. Breathe, box breathing, 4, 7, 8 breathing, or even 3 deep breaths before responding. Reflect. Keep a short daily journal or voice memo reflection. Move. Walk without a podcast or screen for 10 minutes daily. Ask better questions. Instead of what's wrong, ask what needs to be understood. Rest. Protect 1 day a week for mental recovery. Treat these as habits, not hacks. A Zen mindset is not something you switch on in crisis. It's something you build like muscle memory. The long-term payoff of Zen leadership. You will not always see immediate results, but over time you will notice more thoughtful decisions, fewer reactionary meetings, a more focused team, higher quality discussions, increased resilience during high-stake periods. Best of all, you will feel better. Leading from presence feels lighter than leading from panic. When your nervous system is calm, your leadership becomes a lighthouse. You stop crashing in the waves and start guiding others through them. Leadership is a practice, not a personality. You do not have to be naturally calm to lead with Zen. You do not need a perfect schedule, a wellness app, or a mindfulness coach. What you need is the willingness to pause, reflect, and adjust. Think of Zen not as silence or stillness, but as intentionality. You might still work late some nights. You might still juggle funding calls, design reviews, and production fires. But inside that chaos, there could be a steady rhythm, a breath, a clear choice, a moment of agency. This is where leadership begins. Final thoughts. Begin where you are. You don't need to overhaul your whole leadership style to find calm. Start with one practice, one meeting, one breath. Choose a time today to reflect. Ask yourself, what would it look like to lead this team with calm? What do I need to feel centered? Where can I create space in the middle of pressure? Zen is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of clarity in conflict. In the end, the real gift of Zen leadership is not that it makes the game industry less chaotic. It is that it makes you more capable of standing strong within it. All right, and that's this week's episode of the Press Start Leadership Podcast. Thanks for listening, and as always, thanks for being awesome.
Oh, hi. And the episode's over, but thanks for sticking around till the end. Be sure to check out more episodes in the playlist and new episodes every week on Monday. Follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to leave a review. Thanks again for being awesome.